Hello, Dr. Baker and class. In my audience today, I have Paul, Tony, Daryl, and Kelsey who will be filming me. Every day we are faced with many choices to make throughout our day. Maybe some of you are like me, in that my first choice is, do I really have to get out of my warm bed in the morning? But once we get out of our bed, we are faced with more choices. We choose what to wear, what to eat for breakfast. As we continue with our morning routine, we get into our car, we leave the house, we head off to school or work, or maybe just simply to run an errand. We may choose to warm the car up while we turn on our favorite radio station, check our mirrors, adjust the seat. With all these choices we make, how often do we choose to fasten our seatbelt when we are in the car? I want to take the opportunity to share with you all of my research on the impact of seatbelts. By the end of my speech, I hope the next time somebody asks you how often you wear your seatbelt when you're in a car, you will respond by saying, every time. Each year, 33,000 people are killed or injured in motor vehicle crashes. According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, car accidents are the leading cause of death among ages 5 to 34 in the United States. The most reliable method of saving lives and preventing injuries in motor vehicle accidents is to wear your seatbelt. As easy as it is to click in the safety harness, there are still millions of drivers and passengers that choose not to wear their seatbelts each day. A total of 21,022 vehicle occupants died in motor vehicle traffic crashes in 2014. More than half of those 25,000 people ranged in ages 13 to 44 years old and were not wearing their seatbelt. You can reduce your risk of death from a car accident by 45% just by wearing your seatbelt. In most cases, wearing a seatbelt prevents ejection from the vehicle. Statistics show 75% of drivers ejected during a car accident and were killed, and only 1% of those drivers were wearing a seatbelt. So why are so many people choosing not to wear their seatbelts when it's the simplest, most effective way to stay safe in a car? Some will say they don't need a seatbelt when they are only driving in a car for a short distance. But close to 80% of traffic fatalities occur within 25 miles of the home at a speed of less than 40 miles per hour. Some people may believe that since they are a good driver, they will not get into an accident, but a bad driver can still cause you an accident. Some may fear the idea of being trapped in a car by a seatbelt, but statistically, it's better to be stuck in your car during an accident because the alternative would be that you're ejected out of the car. And if that happened, you have a 25% higher risk of dying from the accident by being ejected. Some people will say they just forget to fasten their seatbelt, but luckily more and more cars give an icon on the dashboard or a beeping sound to remind you and those that are in the front seat to put the seatbelt on. And if I haven't named a better statistic or reason to buckle up, then let it be this. It's the law. Currently in our country, we do have laws for wearing seatbelts. There are two major categories of this law, which are primary and secondary. Primary seatbelt laws allow law enforcement officers to ticket a driver or passenger for not wearing a seatbelt. A secondary seatbelt law states that a law enforcer may issue a ticket to a driver or passenger not wearing a seatbelt only when there is another citable traffic violation the driver or the passengers are making. So in my visual, you see the map that's broken up into the green states, which is primary enforcement, so you would be stopped simply by not wearing your seatbelt in those states. In the blue, secondary enforcement states, you have to be speeding or running a stop sign to be pulled over, and then if you're not wearing a seatbelt, you'll be ticketed for that as well. And New Hampshire is the only state that doesn't have a law for adults when it comes to wearing seatbelts. Their only law is that 17 and under, so technically children, should be wearing their seatbelts, but there's no law that says adults have to. Primary seatbelt laws laws are very effective in increasing seatbelt usage, according to the American Automobile Association. These laws have been shown to increase a state's seatbelt use rate by 10%, resulting in a decrease of injuries and fatalities. First and foremost, we must all make the personal choice to wear our seatbelt every time we are in a car. We must wear them to protect ourselves and to lead by example. When you fasten your seatbelt, you can influence your other passengers to fasten their seatbelts also. Parents can set an expectation for their children, starting at a young age, to make a beneficial habit of always buckling. National crash statistics show that if an adult driver is wearing their seatbelt, children in the car are having 94% chance that they will also put their seatbelt on. Secondly, all 50 states should make the seatbelt law a primary law. This way, people are more inclined to put on their seatbelt to avoid the risk of being pulled over, ticketed, or fined. You and I both know, though, that this will benefit drivers and passengers by avoiding the bigger risk, and that's the risk of injury or possible death. If the ideas I have proposed are not put into action, the number of deaths and injuries will not reduce from car accidents. Every time you and your loved ones choose to wear your seatbelt, you improve your chance of surviving a car accident by 50%. When we all choose to wear our seatbelts every time, the rate of survival will increase and injury and fatality rates due to car accidents will decrease. When the seatbelt laws are held to the primary standard across the country, wearing your seatbelt can be considered a social norm. Officers will stay consistent with the laws. Maybe they will give a high-priced citation, but paying a fine will always be better than the injury or death of yourself or a loved one. For every reason a person can think of to not wear their seatbelt, there will always be a better reason to wear it. The change starts with each one of us to make the choice to fasten our seatbelt every time we get into a vehicle. Don't let pride or influence get in the way of your safety. Make the best decision when you get in your cars today, and from now on, buckle up. Thank you.